In this video, I have a Fisher RS2007. This is a big, heavy, powerful receiver made back in the, I'm going to say probably the early 1980s. It's a Sanyo made machine. This was right after Sanyo's acquisition of Fisher USA. And these first units that they produced were actually pretty good. Let's take a look at this one. As you can see, this thing was abused. Somebody painted their name, I guess, onto the top of it, the original owner. Let's just make sure that this thing isn't cranked up all the way. And we'll turn it on. And we'll see if it receives anything. I still have my little FM transmitter down at the bottom end of the band here. See if it will receive anything. Should be down here somewhere. Mute off. Oh. For starters, this tuner is very dirty, so let's get this thing apart and see if we can get that tuning capacitor cleared out. It's probably got a lot of dust in it, but it's sure making a lot of noise when I try to tune it here. So let's just relocate the camera over top, and we'll take the top off this thing. Take a look at what's inside this brute. Okay, you'll notice right away that this here has got a Darlington output, 80 watts per channel. And here's our tuning capacitor here that is probably all dirty and dusty.
No matter where
So one thing you don't want to do on any of these air tuned capacitors is spray any type of cleaner on them. That is the first thing that will ruin these things, because by spraying any oil or any cleaner on there, it's going to cause shorts between the plates. So the way to clean this is use a can of compressed air or use an air compressor and blow the debris out. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get my air compressor and we're going to blow all the dust out of the tuning capacitor and see if that solves my tuning problem. And my bet is that'll solve the tuning problem, especially at the low end of the band, because you see at the low end of the band, the capacitor is fully closed, so if there's any dust or shorts, anything that will cause a short in there, this is where it's going to short, not as it goes to the top end of the band, as that's when the capacitor opens up. So when you have problems at the low end of the band, it's going to be debris and dust and stuff. So to clean it, we're going to open it up so that we have the maximum space between the plates, and then we can just blow the air out with the compressor. Any dust out of them. A piece of test equipment, or a piece of equipment that every shop should have, is an air compressor for cleaning out, blowing out dust and stuff. Okay, now that I've cleaned out the tuner, let's see how it works now. There we go. Muting off.
slightly cooler temperatures.
92.9 should be something here. Moving on. I don't have an antenna connected to this thing, so I'm only going to pick up strong stations, but there we go. That's working.
Not a Prime member? Sign up today at Amazon.ca.
Hicieron este corrido que relata.
Yeah, except for 106 point. Yeah, this one's okay. This one's right where it's supposed to be. It's a little bit off, but it's off by a bit. Let me go down to 87 point. Okay, this is where my Music Bakery transmitter is for my little MP3 that's sitting on the other side of the shop. And it's set for 87.5. So I can play this all day on here and I won't get nailed with copyright. Actually, this thing doesn't sound bad. And you guys may have noticed that this is actually the theme song to driving television. So they're using Music Bakery content as well for that TV show that's in syndication here in Canada. Okay, some of you may wonder, what's the difference between a Darlington Power Pack, these STK0080, and say one of these, Power Amplifier? They both look the same, but they're actually different animals completely. You see, in a Darlington Power Pack, as is in this amplifier, you've got your two discrete stages here. This is the amplifier board. We got our left channel, and we have our right channel. All of our support components, our preamplifiers, our drivers, and our bias is all done in discrete components. Here's our emitter follower resistors here, right? These are essentially just the output transistors, and that's it. And in this case, they're Darlington transistors, so there'll be 4 transistors inside that pack, more than likely. But everything else is discrete components, whereas this has all of the circuitry inside. In terms of reliability, what I found in the field is that these are far more reliable than these. Right? This is a Sanyo invention. Sanyo built all these power modules, and everybody used them for a period of time there. Sony used them, Yamaha used them, everybody else. This Sony receiver that's my test receiver up here on my bench, this one uses a stereo power module in it. There's nothing wrong with this type of design. One of the first amplifiers that I bought myself when I was probably 16, and I've still got it, by the way. It's an Akai AMU02. I bought the tuner and I bought the amplifier. It's only 27 watts per channel, and it used a pair of these Darlington Power Packs. And I used to abuse that amplifier like you wouldn't believe. That thing, I would crank that thing to full volume and I'd run it all day, and it never blew. I shorted speaker leads, you know, things that teenagers do. I never made that thing blow up, and it still works. And I could go and get that amplifier right now and bring it down here in the shop and plug it in, and I guarantee you it works. So this design, there's really nothing wrong with this design. They work, and as you can hear, they sound good. This is just off FM, right? Now I got dirty controls on here. I can hear that. So we have to clean the switches and controls. So let's check out the equalizer on this thing. This has got an equalizer on it. This receiver too. And I think I got some burned out lights that are going to need to be replaced. Yeah, we won't hear anything above 15 kilohertz, not off FM. Very little. Personally, I'm not a big fan of graphic equalizers. If you ever see any equalizers on my setup, they're always set flat. We're going to check out and see which dial lights need to be replaced, if any, on this thing. We'll check all the lights out. The client said some of the lights were broken. That's why I'm going to turn out all the lights in here and just see how this thing looks. Okay, it looks like a few of the bulbs are burnt out. The phono light works. Looks like the FM light is out. The AM light is out, and the auxiliary light works. So it looks like maybe these three in the middle here. Let's see which ones they are. Is one of them a tape light by chance? Looks like these three here. Phono works. The next three don't appear to do anything. Let's just see which ones they are, and then we'll source some new light bulbs for it. So I'll put the rest of the lights on here so I can see what these bulbs are supposed to be, if I can. Supposed to be. So phono. So tuner, tape, and equalizer. Okay. So there's no separate AM FM. There's an auxiliary light. There should be one when the equalizer is on and off, which is not lighting. And there should be one for tape. Okay, tape works. Tape light works here. So it's our equalizer light and our tuner light. So we got two bulbs that are blown on this. Let's see what type of bulbs they are. I'm starting to like this camera setup more and more. It's so flexible. The bulbs that are shot are the second one over, which is this one. It's tuner. Okay, oh, the function bulb's out too. So this one's out. So these, oh, one's broken. That would explain why that's out. So these two are out. And this is the tuner bulb here, I believe. Yeah, that's tuner. That one's out. And the other one that was out was the equalizer, which is this one here. So I have to get 4 new bulbs for this thing. We'll measure the voltage. They should be standard. They're either going to be 9 or 12 volt bulbs. But I have to get these bulbs today. So I will be making a trip into one of the parts stores, and hopefully they will have the bulbs that I need. So we'll just cut them off like that. And I'll just measure the voltage. Fill a voltmeter in DC voltage. They're probably fed with DC. They could be fed with AC though. Looks like they're fed with AC. Yeah, so 7.9 volts. So a 9 volt bulb or an 8 volt bulb, if I can get an 8 volt. But a 9 volt bulb will probably be what I'll put in here. Getting a lot of reflections there. The reason we'll go with a 9 volt bulb instead of like a 6 volt bulb is, well, we want it to last a long time. And they typically will put a 9 volt bulb in and run it at 8 volts AC. That way the lamp's going to last a long time. We don't need full brightness out of these things. We just need enough light out of them so that it lights up the function display. So it's off now to the electronics shop, which now there's only, I guess, one of them that's open. I'll give him a phone call first to make sure he's got some, and then we'll go get some bulbs and we'll replace the bulbs. All the rest of them appear to be working fine. These other bulbs here, you remove them by just turning. I think, no, these ones have got wires on them too. Some of these bulbs would have sockets, but these ones here, these have got silicone boots on the back. But the bulbs themselves are probably soldered in on these too, just as on these ones here. So you buy the bulb and you pull the bulb out of the holder and thread the new one down and solder the wires on. Anyway, I need 4 of these pilot lamps. Let's go find some and we'll get this thing serviced. So here I've got some new light bulbs to put in this unit. These ones have little plugs on the end, but we'll just cut them off. These are actually the same type of lights you would use on an old VHS VCR that used an incandescent bulb for the tape end sensors. It's the same bulb. So we'll just clip the wires, get them prepped, and solder them in place. That'll restore this unit to like new. Now, some may question why I chose to replace the lamps with incandescent as opposed to retrofitting for LEDs. And again, it's personal preference, but I just find that the unit looks more authentic if you keep the original type of light. LEDs have a different tint to them, and you can always tell that they've been replaced. And maybe some people like it, but personally, I like the charm of a good incandescent light. It just looks natural. That's my take on upgrading to LEDs, because personally I don't find LEDs look as pleasing. They generally have hot spots on them, you know, most of them. They'll have hot and cold spots, so I just find the incandescent looks nicer. Now the original ones were wire wrapped. I'm going to actually solder these ones in place. Let's see how this new bulb looks. Looks great. Pop that bulb back in there where it belongs. And now the word function lights up nice and bright. We'll do the same for the other 2 that were no good. Okay, this one was, I think this one was the tuner. Let's see. Yep, that's tuner. So that one goes in here. And that will light up tuner. And the last one. Okay, that one should have the loudness light now working too. Or the equalizer, I think it's equalizer. Yeah, equalizer off and on. Equalizer off and on. See. So let's take a look at the front of the lights now that they're all fixed. Let's take a look at the lights here. They're all working now. We have our equalizer, phono, tuner, auxiliary, and our tape. Okay, so all of our switches are working, or all of our indicator lights are now working. Now we'll clean the switches on this thing. So we have to remove all the... Might help if I actually had an antenna on this thing, but hook a piece of wire up to it. Yeah, these little FM broadcaster things that you buy for $5 at the dollar store, they don't go very far. They're designed basically to put in your car, right? And send it to your car radio 2 feet away. But that does the job. Should put an amplifier on it, then I might get some range out of it. Anyway, we gotta remove all the screws here to get into the bottom of this thing to get at the controls for cleaning. So let's get the bottom off this thing. Now, remember, this is a Sanyo, okay? We're looking at a Sanyo here. But this just shows you how well Sanyo actually did make some products. I can't find flaw with this design. It's open. Everything's accessible. All the fuses are accessible. Relays accessible. Boards can be unscrewed and removed to work on them. There's lots of clearance on the interconnect wires, and all the switches are open and easy to get at for easy cleaning. Even the big filter capacitors down here, easy to get at. This, even though it's a Sanyo, and a lot of people associate Sanyo as turning out garbage, they did make some half-decent units, and the ones that they put in that they called their studio standard by Fisher, after they bought Fisher, the first generations of the Fishers anyway, I think their quality probably declined in later years as more of the Sanyo influence got there. But when they first took over for Fisher and was turning out products, they actually tried to keep the quality of their products to be really quite good. Like even the nice flywheel here on the tuning string, right? The tuning dial. But yeah, it looks good inside, and say there's not really a heck of a lot wrong with this. Some light bulbs that were burned out, and we need to clean some switches. And all these switches, they're all open at the back, so they're easy to clean. So I'm going to get in there with some cleaner. I'm going to clean the controls here. I'm going to use Neutral on this, and it's not that I'm playing favorites to one particular brand or the other. I could use Deoxit on it as well. This stuff works, and this is not the new Neutral. This is the old Neutral. This can goes back to I think probably the 1980s. Look how rusty it is. It's pretty old. But this was the stuff that had a bunch of the bad stuff in it. This is the real deal. This stuff, it's better than any of the new stuff that I think. The Deoxit stuff's good too, but this stuff is really fantastic stuff. So I'm going to keep my little spray can on low here so I don't waste enough of it here. We'll give each of these controls a shot. Okay, and now let's see how nice and quiet the controls are. Okay, time to reassemble the unit, and we'll give it one last test before sending it back out on its way. This thing's got a lot of screws in the bottom. Again, this was a well-built unit back in the day, and you know, it has good sound. It's solid. The thing weighs a ton. Let me get the back on it. I get the bottom on it. Get the top cover on it. Give you a last look at how the display looks now that all the lights have been repaired. Okay, I figured to let you guys see what this thing looks like now at a more subdued light. As you can see, the light is balanced. I was able to get the same brightness of bulbs, and that's something that you wouldn't get if you went to LEDs. The brightness would be different, and you'd have to change them all out just to try and maintain some type of balance. Plus, most LEDs have a slightly different color temperature than incandescent bulbs. So that was one of the reasons I went with incandescent bulbs. Again, your mileage may vary. These things, the bulbs are rated at something like 100,000 hours, so they're gonna last a good long time. I'll kill all the lights in here so you guys can see what the dial looks like. So there it is, lit up with the dial. Looks nice. Sounds great too. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. And I have an unboxing coming up. I have a new piece of equipment, but I'm going to keep you guys in suspense until I actually unveil it at a future date. We'll catch you later.